because Shane is here and he is joining us on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Shane, thank you so much for taking the time to join us out of your busy schedule.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
My first question for you, Shane, talking about that amazing punt return. All right. The ball touches your hands. You're looking out over the sea of Jefferson Falcons coming at you. At that point in time, what is your first move that you're thinking, and at what point did you see the hole start breaking open for you to actually even be able to make that play?
Well, first when the ball was coming out, it kind of looked like it was gonna bounce out of bounds, which I didn't. I obviously I wanted to return it, so I was kind of happy when it bounced right to me, and the first defender was already pretty much in my face, so I sidestepped him, and then I went down the sideline, and then I think it was Connor Jones who picked up a pretty significant block, and I went out around him, and then it was funny watching the film is when, because in the moment you don't really like see things around you, you just kind of have like tunnel vision. So I just saw it open field and I went up and I had great blocking, so I didn't really see much. I just saw an open field and I just went.
You're a player that has been around this program for a while. Your dad's been a coach for a while in the program. Talk about what it's like for you to now be where you're at on the varsity level and making a contribution on the varsity level for a program that you've been around for so long.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I've been around South Range football since I can remember. My dad, like you said, used to coach, and I'm still, every time I get home from practice, he's always asking me questions about, what's the game plan for this week, or, how are you, trying to get better, or how are you preparing for it? And, he's always watching film too. And, he's pointing, little things out to me. And it really helps, to have a, dad that, knows as much as he knows about football, and, it's always willing to help.
Talking about those influences you have and coaches especially, talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Coach Dan Yeagley and how much it has impacted you, not only as a football player, but as a person as well.
I mean, it's great. I mean, Coach Yeagley, he's one of the best coaches, I've been around. I mean, I think what, makes Coach Yeagley such a, special coach is, I mean, obviously he's a great, football coach, but, I think he's an even better person. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be a varsity starter, or you could be a freshman that doesn't even play. He still, cares about you and is making sure you're doing all right, making sure everything at, home is okay. And he was a great person first, which is, I think, what makes him an even better football coach.
We've obviously talked to Coach Yeagley a lot at YSN South Range, one of the original 4 teams that we covered. So we've had him on for the last 4 years. So this might be a little bit harder for you than other teams, but try to tell us something from a player's perspective that maybe we don't know about Coach Yeagley that you think people out there should know about the head football coach over at South Range.
I'm not too sure, but I mean, obviously, he's a great coach, but I think one of the things that really just stuck out to me this summer was, we had a player that, couldn't get to practice. He didn't have a ride in, like, I think it was during 2 days, but like every practice, Coach Yeagley, picked him up, took him to practice. And I just think that it's just like the little things that, makes him so special.
Absolutely, no doubt about that with Coach Yeagley. But now to kind of take the focus off of coach and put it back on the players for a second. There's been, I think, I don't want to say an attitude, but more of a swagger with this group of boys on this team, where it feels like you guys just know what you guys are made of each and every week, and you know what you guys are capable of against any opponent. Talk to me about that chemistry you have with your teammates and how strong that bond is with all those guys on the football field.
I mean, that's the thing about like this, like the juniors and seniors, and even like the sophomores too, we've been playing football together since, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th grade. And something about us is that we just all love football. Like from, the O-line to the receivers to the quarterbacks to the defense, we all just love football, and we love, playing together. I mean, we're together probably more than we are with our family, so we have a special bond. And, not just at football, but just like out of football. We're always together. We're always, talking about football, or whether we're just, at someone's house, we're always, playing like a football game on our phone. But, we're always, talking about football, thinking about football, and just, bonding.
We're here at the week 10 of the season. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about this matchup in week 10 with Hubbard. But before we get to that, I want to take you all the way back to week 1 and the win over Springfield, the dominating win over Springfield. How important do you think that was to this team's momentum for the rest of the season, getting a win like that to start off the year?
I mean, it was huge. I mean, that game was basically, 2 years in the making. And, that was what we were thinking about, through the off season, through last year, not being able to play Springfield and just being able to, play them and, beat them. It was just, a great, an amazing start to the season. And I think it's, carried us. It's like the momentum we got from it, helped us throughout the season. And, every week we're just, gaining more of that momentum. And, it's what's brought us to, 9-0. And, we're just going to take it 1 week at a time.
Shane, I think there's enough people that are probably yelling at their computer screens right now because I haven't asked you about this Week 10 matchup, so I'm finally going to get around to asking you. I mean, what else do you need to say? It's Hubbard South Range. NE8 is on the line, 2 9-0 teams right now. Going into this game, how excited is the team, first off, to be able to play this, and what are you guys kind of expecting from the Hubbard side of things?
It's an amazing feeling. I mean, how often do you get to play in a Week 10 matchup for the league championship? So, I mean, it's just something, that not a lot of people get to, experience. And, to be able to experience it, we're happy about it. And, we know that Hubbard's a great team, and we're just going to give it our all.
This is a South Range team that I'll never forget when they went into the NE8. There was this like almost like, oh, what are you doing in this league kind of feel to the quote unquote experts, and you guys have shown that you guys belong in this NE8 with all these bigger teams. Do you guys always have this chip on your shoulder, like even though you're 9-0, people feel like you don't belong?
Oh yeah, I mean, ever since 2 years when we got into this league, and even still now, we always have a chip on our shoulder because we feel like we're people still think of us as the underdogs, and we like that because again, it's just a chip on our shoulder, and we're just gonna do what we do, and we know without if we focus on ourselves and and play how we know how to play, that we're pretty dangerous when we do that.
I think another dangerous part of what makes this South Range team so good is the three-headed monster attack. It's not just an offense and defense; it's a special teams as well as you should know that, Shane, with the big play on it. How big is special teams preached by Coach Yeagley, and is it something that you guys that are on the special teams unit have really taken pride in making sure you are one of the best in the area?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that Coach Yeagley preaches. He always says it's called special teams for a reason. You got to be special. And, our defensive coordinator, Coach Rock, is always pounding us on, trying to dominate on all three phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, So he really does a good job, as well as Coach Yeagley, of, getting that, perfection in all three phases of the game.
What we have to ask, because you obviously won Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley, which means your community came out and voted for you enough to get you on that top spot. Talk about this South Range community and what it means to have them backing you and to have tangible evidence now that they went out and voted for you for the Big Dog of the Valley win.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, South Range, the community it's just incredible. Not only in football, but just in all sports and everything. I think what makes it South Range, the community so special is that everyone knows everyone. And, if you do one good thing, people, will tell you about it and like congratulate you. And it doesn't matter who you are, and they're always going to be there for you. And, it was just great, being at school, the teachers would, say something, and it just made you, feel really special. So I think that's what I like the most about, South Range, is just the community.
What is the category of earthquake going to be on Friday night when it's home against Hubbard? How loud is this community about to get?
It's going to be loud, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure everyone's looking forward to it. But yeah, definitely going to be loud.
We're here live at Mill Creek Golf Course for the PGA Hope event for veterans, and one of the reigning themes today has been role models and how much these veterans are role models. Shane, who are some of your role models on the field and off the field?
Well, first off the field will have to be, my parents. They're always preaching for me to be, a better person. And, my mom has, an amazing work ethic. And my dad is always, trying to get like the prepare better and, treat your body right. And I think they really help me off the field. But like on the field, my favorite player is Julian Edelman. And, I try to mimic my game after him. So he's a role model. But, around here, like, I think Dylan Dominguez, I'm sure you guys know who that is. He's a great role model. He leads by action, and everyone, on our team looks up to him. And he's one of those guys that doesn't just say something and then not do it. He does it, and yeah, he's gonna get in there and do the hard work. And I think he's a great role model for everyone.
Excellent pick on your favorite player, by the way. Anthony gave me a little bit of a look with that
Ty's
one.
joining you. Ty's a Pats fan too, and I know your dad's a big one because I had to deal with it in class.
Excellent pick. But looking at this now, too, looking at your career now, Shane, and you talk about playing football all the way from a very young age with this group of guys. What has been the biggest thing that you've grown in the sport of football that you've been most proud of from a young age all the way until now? What is that one thing that you've excelled at since that young age that you're proud of?
Well, I personally, I didn't start playing tackle football until 8th grade. I played, flag football from all the time I was in kindergarten to, 7th grade. So I really didn't have that, football experience. But, going into 8th grade and especially in high school, I feel like I've learned, especially like from a receiver standpoint, to like, settle down and like find the zones and like find the open coverage. And again, Coach Allegretto does a great job of preaching that and, encouraging us receivers to, find the open zone. So I feel like that's something that, I've gotten better at and something that, helps my game out a lot.
I'm going to put your dad on the spot here because I know he's a big Red Sox fan as well. And here, ALCS, here we are, game 6. If it happens, will be on Friday night. How much do you think he's going to be tempted during Friday night's game to maybe check in on that Red Sox score a little bit?
Oh yeah, he'll for sure, have his phone out, texting, his brothers, all his family about, the game. I mean, even last night, we were watching it, and and even my mom gets excited about it, so it's great. But he'll definitely be checking the scores during the game.
My final question for you, Shane, as we've had a great conversation with you, and we're glad, obviously, for you joining us today. But looking at this South Range team and being 9-0, a team that puts up a massive amount of points week in and week out. One thing we know Coach Yeagley always talks about is always wanting to get better and always wanting to improve. I feel like every coach kind of has that sort of mentality. How does a South Range team that is 9-0, that puts up points in bunches on every team, get better before the playoffs?
Really, we just, focus on, what we did right or what we did wrong, the week before and just try to get that better. And, we know if we focus on ourselves and just being the best that we can be, then, the points, the wins, they'll just come, so we really focus on just, being the best that we can be.
Here in the media, we're allowed to look ahead all season, and since that win over Poland, we kind of been looking ahead to this Hubbard game, and we know teams can't. But talk about just for the last several weeks what it's been like trying to stay focused on the opponent at hand and not look ahead to Hubbard in week 10. And everyone talking about it. I'm sure your classmates that aren't on the football team were talking about it. I'm sure you guys heard a lot. You could not go anywhere without hearing about Hubbard. So what was it like trying to stay focused on the opponent at hand for the last couple of weeks?
It was definitely, I wouldn't say it was a huge challenge, but, it was always somewhere in our heads, the elephant in the room, that, week 10, we're going to face Hubbard. But I feel like we did a pretty good job of, focusing on the task at hand and, focusing on the team that we're playing. And now we're finally here to week 10 and we get to, focus on Hubbard. And, I think it's going to be a great game.
perfect segue to say this, man. We were so excited for week 10. We're so excited that you won Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And good luck this week. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate having me.